Welcome to the Awesomers.com podcast. If you love to learn, and if you're motivated to expand your mind, and heck, if you desire to break through those traditional paradigms and find your own version of success, you are in the right place. Awesomers around the world are on a journey to improve their lives and the lives of those around them. We believe in paying it forward, and we fundamentally try to live up to the great Zig Ziglar quote, where he said, "You can have everything in your life you want if you help enough other people get what they want." It doesn't matter where you came from, it only matters where you're going. My name is Steve Simonson, and I hope you will join me on this awesomer journey.
If you're launching a new product manufactured in China, you will need professional, high-resolution, Amazon-ready photographs. Because Simo Global has a team of professionals in China, you will oftentimes receive your listings photographs before your product even leaves the country. This streamlined process will save you the time, money, and energy needed to concentrate on marketing and other creative content strategies before your item is in stock and ready for sale. Visit simoglobal.com to learn more, because a picture should be worth 1,000 keywords.
You are listening to the Awesomers.com podcast series, episode number 99. Today is a third in the three-part series. So another way to say that was part 3 of a three-part series with Mary Shores. And Mary, who, if you've been following along parts 1 and 2, you already know she's a best-selling author and actually got bestseller badges in 3 different categories at Amazon, as you'll hear about if you haven't already. And she's also a CEO of a very large and successful collection agency, which has been referred to as one of the most unique collection agencies in the country. And Mary has already told us about this concept that, you know, even as a debt collection company, and this is a substantial business, 8 figures type of business, she is able and has the goal of actually making the positive outcome be the result of every conversation. So let me just repeat that. When she and her team, mostly, is calling somebody who owes a debt, their mission is not to collect the debt on that first call. It's to have the customer end up having a better day as a result of that call. And that is extraordinarily unique. And so her book about conscious communication, the methodology she applies to it, and all the neural learning and you know, kind of all of the things that she's been able to put together as part of her approach to this subject matter is truly inspiring, and something that I think has been really fun to listen to and learn from. So today is no exception. You're going to learn lots more. We talk about tons of great takeaways and action steps today, including a special bonus. You won't want to miss it. I am glad that you're here, and I thank you for listening. I believe in this idea that we should make, you know, progress towards whatever's important to us, and that everybody should define what's important to them themselves. That's for sure. It doesn't, you know, for me, I'm not Amazon, but I'm entrepreneurial centric, right? Most of the people I deal with that I run around with are entrepreneurs. That's just because that's my tribe. But there's many people who are, you know, everything from artists to, you know, other types of creators to, you know, thinkers. Maybe they're engineers or builders or whatever. There's so many different people, and everybody should find their own tribe and what makes them happy. But finding their own, you know, path of whatever their own mountain is a really important thing. And being authentic and genuine is probably the most freeing thing ever. It's like just taking all that baggage off your shoulders and go, you know what, I'm me. You know, you either like it or you don't. I don't know what else to tell you, but that's the way it is. And that doesn't give us a license to be an a-hole, right? Because that's just a behavioral problem that needs to be solved. But just being authentic and true, for me, it is unleashed every bit of, you know, success that I've had, you know, over the past 20 to 30 years in business. I'm not smart enough to be anybody else. So I'm just like, I'm just going to be me, and they either like it or they don't. So really, really wise words on genuine authenticity. Mary, let me ask you this, because I want to talk a little bit more about your book. And you also, as I recall, you have some sort of workbook download that we're going to talk about. Is that right?
Oh yeah, sure. We've got, if any of your audience is interested, what they can do is we've got a mini communications code workbook. So if you want to learn the strategies, that is the foundation of my business. And I've been training on this for 15 years. So basically gave all your viewers a copy of the workbook that I use in my trainings. So you can also, along that lines, if you want to know more, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, I am going to be doing some webinars coming up, and I'll definitely post them on LinkedIn so that anybody that wants to get involved in those and learn that strategy will be doing that very soon.
Wonderful. So we'll make sure in the show notes, for our show notes folks, that we get in Mary's link, which is always in the pre-production notes, and also the LinkedIn link for you as well, because any of the Awesomers out there, whether you're listening to the audio version of this or later seeing the video version of this, you know, we want to be able to give you something actionable, right? Mary and I can have a nice conversation. You guys can listen in and we all go, hey, that was great. And, you know, we carry on with our lives, or you can take action. And I'm a big guy that says, if you like what you hear, if it's resonating on some level with you, even if it sparks that curiosity. And I think Awesomers in general are not just curious, they're passionately curious.
Oh, that's awesome.
They really want to know, you know, how their world works and how they make an impact in that world in a positive way. So,
well, they would love me then, because that's what I think that my entire life revolves around that one concept right there.
Well, I think it's a really great concept. And again, this is part of being a learner, I suppose. But when you hire people, I highly recommend to Awesomers anywhere that you hire curious people, and preferably passionately curious people, because those are the people who will not stop when they hit an obstacle. They will figure out how to solve the obstacle. They'll figure out a way to get around that obstacle or move the obstacle or whatever the case is, versus coming back to you and going, I couldn't figure out how to enter this lead in the system. It's like, I hear you. There's some training and we should have some good, you know, ways of coaching you, but you should also be innately curious. And that is really, for me, a defining difference between, you know, somebody who can help manage themselves in large part versus somebody who you just have to kind of, you know, over and over go, all right, now do this. And they come back, now I'm done. What do I do now? So I don't know, have you found that curiosity in some of your staff leading to better productive work results?
Well, I think that in a lot of like being a leader for 20 years, I mean, first of all, the only way I could have even written a book is because I have a team of rock stars, you know, because I run an 8-figure business and I could not function without having a team of people behind me. But I think it takes both what I call the thinkers. I think that's in alignment with what you're talking about as the curious, and the doers. So you've got the thinkers and the doers. And the doers are the people who like that busy work. They get a lot of stuff done, but as soon as they encounter that wrench in the sprocket, they stop. All right. But the thinker is going to come across that monkey wrench and they're going to figure it out. Okay. And I think you need a good mixture of both. Like you've got disc profiles are a really great way to kind of figure out where people are at, because they do complement each other. Like I'm a high DI, which is a dominant influencer. And then there's the S and the C, which actually, I hate to say this, but it's of so little interest to me. I can't even remember what the S and the C stand for, because I'm literally a 99D, 89I. And then my scores on the S and the C are like non-existent. It's like, do you have a pulse here? But
that's funny. Yeah. So the S and the C is so low that the definition of those was not even, it didn't even cross the threshold.
I can't even register it.
I didn't even score high enough to find out what S and C even mean. Yeah, nice.
So, you know, the thing is that it's also about your ability to build that. You know, I didn't build this rock star team of people because I'm a fabulous leader or because I'm nice and friendly. I did it because my business, my work is built on a mission. And when you have a mission that you can share with other people, you will, like you said, like a magnet, you know, your choices to be on that mission, to be on that right path in life is going to attract the people around you that you need to have that happen. And another thing I just would really love to say about this, especially if your Awesomers are starting a business, have a business, or considering having a business, that you know, the number one mistake I see small business owners make is that they don't document. You have to document everything. So like when you were giving that example about the person who needs to, you know, call over the supervisor because they don't know how to enter the, widget or whatever into the system. Well, they should have a library of information that they can go to and just get the step-by-step keystroke of how to do that. I don't care if it's on video. I prefer things being on paper because you can update them really easily. But that has really been my key to freedom, is that we document everything. I like to say there's a work instruction on how to create a work instruction.
That's great. Well, I tell you, I'm a big systems believer, and I completely support this idea of consistent and thorough SOPs, especially for every one of those kind of day in, day out types of roles. For those keeping score at home, by the way, so dominant and inspiring clearly marries key parts of the DISC profile. Supportive and cautious would be the S and C for those who are interested. And you can see
Yes,
how
I'm
supportive
not very
and cautious
cautious.
she is. Yeah. So
Well,
the
I don't
idea.
think it's interesting, because I just want to say I do ring, I don't think that I mean, I feel like I could definitely be more a supportive person, but again, my business is built on a mission, and that dominant influencer is what helps me create that mission in the world to create change. And then the cautious part, well, I mean, just by nature of being an entrepreneur, I think your risk tolerance is through the roof.
It
But
is, yeah.
the doers are, I think, a lot of times in the conscious, the doers a lot of times are in that sort of cautious stage. That's their comfort zone.
I think that's right. I had the great privilege to be working with and interviewing somebody that I would call like a really professional, right-hand man. In this case, she's a woman, but the point is that's her key thing, right? So she needs somebody who is the strong in the DI, right? Who has the vision, who has the passion to, here's the idea, we're charging the hill, let's go. She's like, hey, I'm here to support you. I'll make sure that we keep the food and the ammo and the whatever to take the hill. But I'm also going to be over here warning about, hey, there's some landmines to the right. That, I'm using a war analogy here, maybe not super friendly for the audience, but the point is, she is all about the S and C, right? And this is really what makes a team, overlap with those perfect skills. If you don't have multiple people with the multiple skills and you're all on one side or the other, you got problems.
Yes.
Yeah, you agree
It's
with
so
that.
true.
Yeah. So let's, we're starting to run against the clock a little bit, but I have some more questions I want to get out and get done. Was there any big lesson that you've taken away? We've talked about some of these things already, but was there any big lesson that just stands out that you're like, I'm burning to get this into the brains of other people? Anything you care to share?
Oh, well, I feel like we've done a good job of sharing things. As far as a lesson, I just guess I want the audience to know that it doesn't necessarily ever matter where you're at right now. You just build and continue to improve upon your life, and you get there.
Yeah, I love that. And so part of the show introduction says, from my words are, it doesn't matter where you've been, it only matters where you're going, right? And too often people get caught in that where they've been as an obstacle. Do you feel that where you're going is something that people can still control and they still have influence on?
Oh, absolutely. You're the only person who has control over it. I'm going to read just a little something here out of the book.
Sure.
That I think fits with the question about leaving that last, little nugget.
Okay.
And it kind of goes back to something we said earlier in the conversation. This is from page 158 out of Conscious Communications. I know it's easier said than done, but what if, as an experiment, you tried to be happy just by becoming who you really are, just living it and stepping into it? To get to who you really are, you have to shed layer after layer of who you've been pretending to be. Layers of the person that you know deep down you are not. You're shedding layers of your problems, layers of self-judgment, layers of how others have judged you. Shedding layers of unworthiness, fear, worry, and unnecessary responsibility, and layers of beliefs and challenges around what other people think you are, or even worse, think you should be. The reason that I think that this is so important as that kind of last nugget is that I myself suffer from this greatly, and it's this word judgment, judging the things. If a lot of spiritual and new thought leaders talk today about the concept of alignment and getting your life in alignment, and you truly cannot be in alignment if you have something in your library that you are judging yourself for from the past.
Oh, so powerful. Well, first of all, best-selling author Mary Shore giving us a live read of Conscious Communication. So thank you for that. That's amazing. I really, first of all, the awesomers out there, of course, I'm going to buy the book because I enjoy learning and neuroscience and, all these other factors that talk about communication and getting more control over it. One of the things that moved me early in our conversation, Mary, is this idea that, the words we should say and the words we shouldn't say can have a pretty high impact in our life. And as marketeers or salespeople or whatever our case may be, we should know those words. Is there any discussion of those types of words in the book by any chance?
Oh, yes. The book, right in the introduction, it gives the whole backstory of the communication strategy. I even had a podcaster. She read the introduction of my book and then she put the strategy to use. And she told me this, and it's called the show is called Business Breakthroughs with SD Rand. She told me she made $4,000 in one email using my communication strategy. So if you need, what more motivation do you need than that?
Yeah, it's super clear. So anybody who is in business or in marketing, digital marketing, whatever, we're going to get that book. And because we're awesomers, we always pay it forward. We leave nice 5-star reviews because that's what A, probably has been deserved and earned, but B, that's what we want other people to do for us. So we give before we get. We pay it forward, everybody. And so we're going to get that book. We're going to leave some nice reviews. Mary, I'm just curious about your crystal ball. See if you can get your crystal ball handy and tell us the future a little bit. In 5 years, what, if anything, will be different in our world? Anything that's important to you? And then what, if anything, that maybe is counterintuitive may stay the same, if you can think of such a thing?
Well, do you mean in like our world as a whole and our culture, or do you mean my life personally?
Anything that you care to share, whether it's your life and that's going to be a reflection of the world or vice versa.
Well, I think that in our world, we're shifting from that old paradigm, and you're an 80s person, me too, and born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. And, back then we used to always play Monopoly, right? I'm sure you played as a kid. And
of course,
if we played together, I would have beat you. Sorry.
How dare you? That's probably true. I'm not going to lie.
But let's talk about that. So when you play Monopoly, you want to win. And what's the only way to win at Monopoly?
You got to get the Park Place and Boardwalk.
You have to bankrupt all the other players.
That's true. Right? Destroy everyone else.
Yes. And don't you see that as like how metaphor was for business in the 80s, 90s, even going into the millennium? Do you notice that? And so where I think we're going in 5 years is to a collaboration based, seeing other people as collaborators more so than we see them as competitors, figuring out how we can work together instead of working against each other. We're seeing that with so much open source. Why do we want to have this medical team over here working on this breakthrough and this medical team on another continent working through a breakthrough? They should be sharing their information. We can get things done much faster in a world of collaboration than we can in a world of competitiveness. And so that's where I see us going in 5 years as a collaborative. Myself personally, I'm working on my second book. And after that, I would like to work on a third book that is all going to be about debt. So just would like to write more books, grow my business, have awesome adventures in life. Just went to Peru this past summer. So would love more adventures like that.
A little Machu Picchu action?
Well, actually, I went to Aikidos. So I think that's in a different direction. Yeah, I went to the Amazon jungle.
Ooh, giddy up. Yeah. Well, this is one of those things. So first of all, Mary, thank you for your time and, all the great wisdom you've laid out before us. And I salute you for being able to create a lifestyle and a business and, to make them kind of work in harmony with one another, where you can kind of live that life that you want to live, the life worth living, as they say, versus just being, an indentured servant at best or a slave at worst to either a business or, some other entity that you don't have passion for. It's clear you have great passion. So thank you again for your time. Any final words for awesomers out there? I should give you one last run.
Oh, just to say thank you so much for having me on the show today.
It's certainly a pleasure. I want to tell awesomers out there, we'll be right back after this, and we're going to make sure you remember that all these show notes, links to the book, all this stuff will be out there for you, and make sure we get and take action today. So we'll be right back, awesomers, right after this.
Hey Amazon Marketplace professionals, this is Parsimony ERP, and we get one question over and over. Can you please tell me exactly what Parsimony does? Well, we'll try, but this is only a 30-second spot, so we're going to have to hurry. Connect to your Seller Central account and pull all the new orders. Enter the orders with all customer data. Enter all of the Amazon fees and charges. Store them at the item level. Generate profit and loss reports at the SKU level. Automatically generate income statements. Handle multiple companies. Handle multiple brands. Handle multiple currencies. Facilitate budgets and forecasts. Store all customer interactions in a sophisticated CRM system. Manage your supply chain. Project and task management. Maintain an audit log. Hey, you get it. That's Parsimony, Parsimony.com. Parsimony.com. We've got that.
Well, everybody, Mary and I talked today in this third part of the three-part series. And so this is the last one in this, but we talked today about being genuine and being authentic and the impact that it can have on your personal life. And, I shared some of my story that I feel like it can be very freeing. It can be unburdening to be your true self. And all of this may sound trite, or it may sound even capricious for somebody to say, oh, just be yourself and everything will be okay, right? That's what they used to tell you when you're going on dates. And believe me, that was the worst advice ever. But I digress. The point is, when you truly are authentic and genuine, and when you truly can express who you are, and you're not afraid of those, people who are turned off by that. That's when you will find the people who are most closely associated with it and most, like you, and that's where you can find your tribe. This doesn't mean you need to live in the so-called echo chamber where everybody has the same opinions about everything, but it's where you can find people with common interests, common goals, and you can support each other. Finding your tribe is only possible once you are truly honest with yourself and you're genuine and authentic to who you really are. Mary's approach to this, her explanations of it, and even her live read from her book is truly something that it's very much appreciated by me, and I know that awesomers around the world will appreciate it as well. So thank you again, Mary, for being so generous with your time and your ideas, and thank you for taking a leadership role to help other awesomers around the world get better at communication. No doubt we're going to have you on again for an authority story, and we'll dive deeper into conscious communication and how people can really improve, the way they interact with people. They can improve their marketing. They can improve so many parts of their life if communication is improved. That much is absolutely certain. So again, this has been episode number 99 in the Awesomers.com podcast series. Just pop on over to awesomers.com/99 to find all those show notes, details, links, and even the bonuses that we talked about at the end of today's episode. Now, I do want to make one special note. Since we pivoted to the shorter time, I guess, for each episode, we were delivering on average 60 minutes for the first 80 or so episodes, and then the last 10 or 20, we've broke it into 15 to 20 minute increments. And I asked for you guys' feedback. Go to awesomers.com/contact to let me know, how that works for you. I think it's very, very good because you can take just a small part of your day, that 15, 20 minutes, and you can get, a little piece of somebody's story each and every day. I really prefer long-form content where we can dive in deep to the details. And I'm not just asking for like a little soundbite on each question. I want to really get to know people. I want to share their truly inspirational and often, heartbreaking stories. Mary had some true adversity and tragedy in her life, yet she continued to carry on as so many awesomers do and reconcile how all those things came about and make sure that part of her life is to continue to improve herself and those around her. And that's an awesomer mentality for sure. So my thanks again for listening, everybody. Please share, subscribe, leave me some feedback if you like. If you're going to leave it on iTunes or whatever, please leave 5 stars. If you want to send me hate mail personally, that's okay with me, but definitely try to keep my reviews coming in because that really keeps me going each and every time I see a new review. Thanks again, everybody. Well, we've done it again, everybody. We have another episode of the Awesomers podcast ready for the world. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that you've enjoyed our program today. Now's a good time to take a moment to subscribe, like, and share this podcast. Heck, you could even leave a review if you wanted. awesomers around you will appreciate your help. It's only with your participation and sharing that we'll be able to achieve our goals. Our success is literally in your hands. Thank you again for joining us. We are at your service. Find out more about me, Steve Simonson, our guest, team, and all the other awesomers involved at awesomers.com. Thank you again.